Good morning. It's 6:50. 10 minutes away.
6:50.
10 minutes away from the top of the hour right now. 91st Academy Awards premiering this Sunday on ABC Columbia.
That's right. And our own Matt Perrin is breaking down all of the Best Picture nominees.
Absolutely. Today's film focuses on an African-American cop infiltrating the Ku Klux Klan in Spike Lee's BlacKkKlansman.
Welcome to another Monday, but today we're not talking about new releases, even though there were a couple notables this past weekend. No, we're on day 4 of the Oscars overview, where I recap a Best Picture nominee a day leading up to the Oscars this Sunday right here on ABC Columbia. Today's Best Picture nominee falls into that based on a true story category, where if it hadn't actually happened, you'd think it could never happen. Yes, in the ultimate definition of truth is stranger than fiction, we take a look at Spike Lee's depiction of Ron Stallworth, an African-American detective that infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan. So without any further ado, let's jump right in to BlacKkKlansman. Our story begins during the civil rights movement in the early 70s, Colorado Springs. The police department hires Ron Stallworth, portrayed by John David Washington, as the first African-American police officer in that precinct. After wasting some time and evidence, he is made an undercover detective and sent into a Black Panther meeting to see if they're radicalizing. There he meets Patrice Dumas, head of the Black Student Union, who he takes an instant liking to. Even though his superiors aren't convinced, Ron declares that there is nothing to fear from the Black Panther gathering and sets about proving himself some other way. Looking through the paper one day, Ron spots an ad for the Ku Klux Klan and makes a phone call to impersonate someone who wants to join. Being more than convincing, he gains the interest of the local leaders and sets up a meeting with them. Of course, he himself can't go, so he has to recruit the perfect white partner to stand in as Ron Stallworth. He chooses Flip Zimmerman, a Jewish detective played by Adam Driver, since he also has a stake in bringing down the Klan. Flip goes to the meeting, and even though some of the members doubt him as, quote, pure, he manages to convince them otherwise and starts spending time with the group, gaining intel. As the movie progresses, we see Ron working his way up to have many phone conversations with the Grand Wizard of the KKK himself, David Duke, portrayed by Topher Grace. He's running for office, and Ron, Flip, and the rest of the force are determined to prevent that from happening. The action heats up as the imposters have to work together to prevent terror plots while being nominated to run the chapter. All in all, crazy shenanigans ensue as we, the audience, watch in awe of this brazen sting operation as it went down. So, what to say about this one? I saw this movie when it was first released, which fittingly was on the 1-year anniversary of the Charlottesville riots. What's really great about the film is that it gets its point and issues across in a well-done and lighthearted way. It takes this incident in history that revolved around serious and deadly issues and manages to make you laugh throughout. I was surprised to find out that this was Spike Lee's first Best Director nomination, but it is definitely deserved. He took a fantastic cast and allowed them to tell this unbelievable story in the most entertaining way possible. In fact, I recently went out and bought this one because the acting is so great that it's a fun movie to watch more than once. I highly recommend taking this one in before Sunday. And speaking of Sunday, how is this going to fare? This is one of those nominees that I don't think is going to win the award, but I would be absolutely fine with it sneaking in as a sleeper. There are a couple ahead of it that I think will be tough to beat, but all things considered, it deserves the nomination and was one of the better movies of 2018. This has been your Oscars Overview. Be sure to tune in tomorrow as we take a look at a period piece with a trio of strong leading performances. Back to you.
And stay with us. We'll be back with more news updates.